From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
What's good? Justin Jefferson here.
Football is a lot of explosion, a lot of energy and attitude.
With these open earbuds,
To have good sound and to be so light on your ear, it's like a dream.
for more, check out Bose.com.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
on Giants.com
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
and the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun.
Hello and welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I am John Schmeelk, joined by Paul Dottino on this Monday morning. The phone number for you is 201-939-4513. We'll take your calls about the Giants' disappointing 20, what was the final?
27-22.
Right? I was going to say 25-22, but I knew it wasn't right, but I knew it was more than a field goal. 27-22 loss to the Washington Commanders. And, Paul, so many weeks and Mondays we show up on this program and we come in and we say, boy, the offense just didn't score enough points. The offense wasn't good enough. The offense couldn't move the ball. The offense couldn't score touchdowns. The quarterback didn't play well enough. The offensive line didn't protect well enough. There were too many drop passes. Go down the list of the problems with the offense this year. That's not what we're going to do today. Because we sat there and we watched this game, and we watched the Washington Commanders, for the most part, in a game that had a limited number of actual possessions. The Washington Commanders just had 8 possessions in this game, and the Giants forced just 2 punts. The first drive of the game, the first drive of the second half. The Commanders wind up with those 27 points. They could have easily had 30 if they decided to score on the final drive of the game. They decided to kneel it out at the 1-yard line. And the Giants defense, Paul, whether it was the secondary giving up third and longs, the front not being able to do a good enough job slowing down the run game, or the pass rush being unable to get after the quarterback, this defense just did not make enough plays to win this football game.
Let's see here. 5 plays of 20-plus yards registered by the Commanders, either in the run or the pass. Not acceptable, especially in key spots.
Giants had 3, by the way.
When during the last 2 drives, you had, I believe it was the 28-yarder to Eckler, which absolutely should never have happened, on a 3rd and 8, as I recall.
3rd and 9.
39, okay.
That was the killer, because that was off the touchdown. The third play of the drive, you get him into a 3rd and 9, and you let him get the first down on that conversion, which was just an absolute killer on that drive.
I told you, I thought in the postgame, to me, that was the knife right there. Now,
that was the finishing blow.
It really was.
As it goes.
It really
you can argue that or the Zacchaeus catch, one or the other.
The Zacchaeus catch was just kind of making the wound worse. Basically, you have 2 plays, one for 28 and the other's 42, right? The Zacchaeus catch is for 42. On the last 2 drives that were absolute gut punches, the Giants bled out on both of those big plays. The Zacchaeus one, however, I believe was a second down play.
Yes, that is correct.
The Eckler was 3rd and long.
3rd and 9. Yep.
Which makes that one more painful.
And look, from what I could tell on that play, watching it, I believe they were just in a simple cover 1. And Newman was disguising the coverage by starting out as a deep safety, and he was just really late coming down to pick up Eckler man-to-man. That's how I saw it watching the tape. I'm happy to be corrected by the coaches when I asked them later this week exactly what happened, but that's what it looked like to me.
He was playing 15 yards deep on the left side of the Giants' defense. Eckler was on the right side of the Commanders' offense.
Same side of the field.
Same side of the field. And Eckler runs a short left crossing route.
Yeah, shallow cross.
And here's Newman having not only to come down from 15 yards deep, but also diagonally coming across the field. He's got a mile to go. Now,
The problem is that he hesitated. He did not go right away.
he did not. He turns on the jets, tries to get there, and actually gets there at the Washington 45. Had he made the tackle, it would have been an 8-yard gain and a Washington first down.
It wasn't a clean tackle attempt. It was
Had a
kind of
shot.
like a reach dive situation.
Had a shot. He gets that tackle. It's not so damaging.
But he
it's
missed-
an 8-yard gain and a first down.
But he misses that tackle because of how he played the route.
Correct.
Right.
No argument at all.
And then I thought, too, that
Turns into a
Newman
28-yard pass.
let Zacchaeus loose on the deep pass to the left side of the field, too. Like, he had him, he rode him a little bit, and then he went into the flat where Micah McFadden already was. It was a cover 3 play where the cornerback on that side, I think it was Banks. I have to look again.
It was.
They were carrying the wide receiver deep, doing the right thing.
He got run off by the go route.
Correct. And which is what he's supposed to do.
Yes.
And Pinnock
Yes.
has to be in the middle of the field to cover the post. And Zacchaeus got into that level between the linebackers and the safeties, and nobody was there to stop him.
Now, McFadden, to his credit, as he works into his zone to the left of the Commanders' offense, he sees Rodriguez go over to the left side, and he's thinking, well, if
Into
that's
the flat. Yep.
if that's a flat pass, I got him. So you see McFadden, okay, I'm lining him up, and I'm going to try to stop him. And he probably, if they throw that pass, it might even be a 10-yard gain. I mean, he's not shutting that down. They might even get the first down.
But you live with that.
But you live with that. What you can't live with is Nubin's behind McFadden, and instead of following Zacchaeus on the route to the left of the offense, he actually looks at Rodriguez and
He
you can
actually
see,
goes closer to McFadden.
because it's like he wants to double Rodriguez with McFadden. It looks like they're going to double cover Rodriguez.
Both those guys were in the same area in his own defense play, which you can't have.
And that means the zone behind those two guys is wide open.
Correct.
And by the way, but here's the one thing I do want to add on that.
Yeah, please.
Please. And this is what makes it even all the more frustrating. Okay? I wrote down that was Dynami Brown who carried Banks with him down. Bless you.
Thank
It
you.
was Dynami Brown who carried Banks down the field. They didn't even have McLaurin in the game.
He wasn't on the other side of the field on that?
I didn't see him.
Well, De'Ami Brown does have speed, though. I mean, he is a deep threat wide receiver.
I
So you have
wrote
to hang with
down
him.
Giants rush 5 against an 8-man protection on that play, where Washington only had 2 wide receivers on the left side of their formation. That's what frustrated me about that play. And what frustrated me about the Eckler play, and I wrote this down, Dexter Lawrence and Armand Watts beat their blocks, and they were about to crush Daniels. They were about a 0.2 seconds away from crushing Daniels. He just got that ball off in time to Eckler. Just got it off in time. So you're talking about a fraction. It is what it is, folks.
Well, and you want to go back a little bit earlier in the game, and this is, I think, where the game kind of turned, where the Giants are trailing 14-7 in the second quarter. The Commanders go down the field. You get them into a 3rd and 18. They throw what I'm going to call a give-up pass, because they're not trying to get a first down throwing a 6-yard stop route to De'Ami Brown. You're just trying to get it down to the 35-yard line to try to kick a 50-yard field goal.
Correct.
That's all you're trying to do on that
Correct.
play. And Drew Phillips, who's been an excellent tackler this year in space, he's been one of their most consistent tacklers on defense. Comes down, De'Ami Brown gives him a little stiff arm, breaks the tackle. Nubin comes down, he can't corral him, he cuts back upfield. One play later, with 11 seconds on the clock, when all you have to do is force a completion in the field of play, or even a catch out of bounds prior to the goal line, and the Commanders are going to have to just kick a field goal and go into halftime 17-7. Deontay Banks falls for a little stutter route, lets the wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, get behind him and score a touchdown, when that is the one thing you cannot allow to happen on that play.
Yep. He has to have more presence and awareness, and had a brain freeze. And he gets beat.
And there's been too many of those, Paul.
There have been. And he gets beat by an excellent receiver and a quarterback who threw the ball exactly where it had to go.
Good throw.
Terrific throw. I'll say this. Daniel's accuracy impressed me yesterday.
It was very good.
He was right on.
It was. I don't think he had one errant throw the whole game.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't pressured.
Now, here's the thing that I will say, okay, in terms of where I also thought, again, so many turning points in this game, and every single one of them went against the Giants.
Which unfortunately has been the case for much of this year.
I know. We discussed the Slayton penalty that took the touchdown off the board.
Yeah.
You've watched it again.
I still don't like the call.
And I agree that 9 times out of 10, that call won't be flagged. There was contact. How incidental was it?
Well, but I don't think Slayton initiated. I think the Washington player ran into him.
Again, I think 9 times out of 10, it's not called.
Now, could Slayton have done it perfectly and just turned around and looked for the ball and gotten in the way, and that you guarantee there's no call? Sure. But Slayton didn't just put his hands up. He didn't even turn towards the Washington player.
He did not turn.
He ran straight. He might have leaned.
But he did lean with his left shoulder.
Yeah, but he didn't even impact him when he leaned.
You know
the
what?
Washington player ran into him.
You know what bothers me more about the play?
I didn't like
Here's what bothers
guys,
me.
you know me. I always defend the officials here. To
We'll
Giant
talk
fans,
about
they
this.
get mad.
We'll talk about this.
They always get mad at me when I defend the officials, and I explain why a call was made. I watched on a primetime game, and I forget who the Dallas Cowboys were playing. Was it the Detroit Lions? I don't remember which team it was. They've played so many of these primetime games. And whoever's on the other team literally pancake blocks the Cowboys slot corner into the ground. With 2 hands, drives him into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
2 flags go up.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't call the offensive pass interference penalty. Oh, I'll bring up the video, and I'll show it to you. And then I see that play get called, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching here.
Again, I think 9 times out of 10, that's not flagged. Here's the part that bothers me the most, John. And I had to go back and watch it. 4:30 in the morning this morning, folks. I'm watching this game again for the second time. On the Slayton play.
Yeah, you're right. McLaurin was not on the field. They released 3 guys, and it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I got a 7-man protection on that with a chip.
Yeah, only 2 guys go out.
Yeah, so the Giants had 6 players in coverage covering
2 receivers.
2.5 because you have the guy in the flat.
The flat guy,
yes,
yeah,
fine.
okay, fine.
But still.
2 guys downfield.
Yeah, it's a problem.
But
by the way, and that's one of the reasons, and we'll talk about the pass rush on defense too. They were very quiet in this game. But look, you got to give Cliff Kingsbury credit, man. A lot of play action, a lot of RPOs, a lot of extra tight ends giving help and protection. And look, your pass rush isn't going to be dominant every week. That's just not how it's going to go every week. And this is one of those weeks where give the Commanders credit, give Bobby Johnson, former Giants offensive line coach, credit. Giants actually had the 2nd highest blitz rate in the league this week. Just under 50%. Right below the Minnesota Vikings. Shockingly, Brian Flores is number 1. But and they did a good job protecting, and you have to tip your cap to the Commanders on that because Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence had some rush moves. Burns got back there a couple times. He had a bat. He played the edge well in a couple of Jaden Daniels plays, but they just could not consistently affect the quarterback in this game.
You know, there are times when the right play is called against the right defense, and the Commanders did that a number of times yesterday. I will say this. Again, going back to the slate, and I want to just leave with you with one comment on this.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Go back and watch it again. The official who was closest to the touchdown, where Slayton and Robinson are on the right side of the end zone, right on the goal line. There's an official standing right there on the goal line, John.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately calls touchdown. The play happens literally.
The flag comes in from the back of the end zone, correct?
It comes in from the back corner of the end zone from a guy who's probably 15 yards away from the play. That's what really bothers me.
Yeah, but I think that might be his responsibility, though, watching that. I think that might be his job
Well,
to
let's
watch
put it
that.
this way. The guy who is closer to it, and the play happens right in front of him, I'd like to believe that when they did have their little huddle up, I'd like to believe he would say, hey, Jimmy, whatever his name is. Hey, Jimmy, it was right in front of me. We can't call that. That's what I would like to believe. I don't know what that conversation was like when they had their small huddle, but as you watch it again, it does kind of stick a thorn in my side that the flag came from the guy in the back corner of the end zone who was probably about 15 yards away, and the guy right there, he's probably as close as Pearson is to us, and he doesn't call it. He immediately signals touchdown. Anyway, that's my take on the fact that does not get called 9 out of 10 times. And I do think that was a very critical play because the Giants, had they gotten that touchdown, are only down by 1 score in the fourth quarter. But because they have to settle for the field goal, now they're still down by 2 scores. The field goal was almost inconsequential because it required another possession that they would not have needed had the touchdown gone on the books. So it's a huge, huge call.
Yeah, I know.
And to be frank, is it really much different in terms of gray area than the roughing the kicker that wasn't called in Pittsburgh? Where they claimed that Tamon Fox had pushed the Steelers guy into
I understand.
Hawk.
I thought that could have easily been a call there.
Easily, right?
I get it.
And what does that turn into? It should have been a re-kick offsetting penalties. Instead, it becomes a Pittsburgh touchdown. I mean, these are painful, painful calls and non-calls that have really been sabotaging this team.
Yeah, but you got to overcome it, man.
I know you do. And
by the way,
what we always say,
by
right?
the way,
you got to be better than that.
And let's be honest, Giants caught a break. That should have been a fumble return for a touchdown for the Commanders.
The best part of football season? Checking out the post-game stats. Which wideouts scored more than 2 touchdowns? Which QBs threw for less than 350 yards? Think you can pick who will do what before kickoff? Then play Pick 6 from DraftKings, an official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, select between 2 and 6 players, and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. It's that simple. And for all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 on your first pick set, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code DK1. That's code DK1 for new customers to play $5 on your first pick set, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Non-withdrawable. Pick 6 credits. Expire in 6 months. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
On the Giants botched screen pass. Oh, Giants caught a break on that too.
Let's talk about that play for a second.
Because that should not have been whistled dead.
Let's talk about that for a second. On that play, I looked also at the TV copy too, not just the NFL Pro copy. The TV copy. The play is whistled.
Yeah,
right?
but if there's a clear recovery.
Well, right. But here's what happens on the play. When you go back and watch it again, John.
I watched it a few times.
I had it right. Mm-hmm. The one official on the Washington side of the field.
He's the only one that blows it dead. Everyone else lets him go.
He waves it off.
It's so dumb.
He waves the play off.
It's so dumb. Now
Incomplete. He waves the play off.
He doesn't do it right away either.
No, he hesitates.
Yeah, and which is even dumber because the ball's out, it's bouncing around, and then it's 15 yards down the field after I think it was Singletary.
Singletary was the one Giant who hustled after it and tried to make a play.
Even not until after he failed to pick it up did they blow the whistle.
Correct.
I did not understand why you handled it that way.
The ball continues to go forward. It winds up being a 40-yard play. It's almost a punt. It's 40 yards in the other direction. So Singletary has a shot at it. He's hustling his butt off after it. And right at that point, the one official waves the play is over. All the other officials are racing back into Giants territory trying to follow the ball. And on the TV copy, you do hear the whistle.
I know there was a whistle. You can see the player stop,
but the whistle is late. The whistle is late.
I understand.
So, I mean, just so much gray area on how these games are being legislated.
Yeah. Bottom line, though,
and again,
but my point stands. You're lucky they blew it dead because otherwise it's a touchdown.
Oh, understood.
The Commanders.
My point is that. Boy, I'd love to see these games, let's just say, cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And let's see if we can just tighten this stuff up. And I'm not complaining about that particular play as one that went for either team. I'm simply saying there's an example of a play that it makes you a little queasy the way it was legislated. How about I say that?
Sure,
Because,
but I don't. Let's not make this about the referees, though, please.
No, I don't
Please,
want. That's
please.
why I don't want to do that.
That is what you're doing.
Well,
though.
I don't
Let's not
want
do
to.
that. Well,
I don't
let's
want
stop
to.
then.
But I would like to see things tighter.
Fine.
Done.
Get a stop.
Well, didn't we
Correct.
just spend the first 10 minutes talking about busted
100%.
coverages?
100%. No, you're 100% right. And again,
Which is
I
why
think,
we saved the official stuff for later.
right. And I wasn't even intending to bring that up, to be honest
Well,
with you. But look,
they're relevant.
100%. Well, the offensive pass interference penalty was
Very relevant.
It could have been a tie game at the end if not for that.
Very
You know what
relevant.
I mean? That was an impactful play, no question about it. The offense did a good job. They protected well. Chris Hubbard, besides I know Mrs. Lincoln how else was to play. Aside from the one play that turned into the sack fumble that turned into the Commanders' score on the other end, he actually did a pretty decent job at left tackle. The offensive line did a pretty good job. They ran the ball well. I thought they blocked in the run game pretty well. They pass protected pretty well. You only had a couple drops in the game. The receivers I thought did a pretty good job.
I had 2.
Yeah, you had what? Neighbors and Theo?
That's right.
Okay, I had the same.
I was curious. It just seemed like more balanced with Singletary and Tracy. Did you have the snap counts for them?
Yeah, you know what? It was a little bit more balanced, and I think the reason for that, Pearson, is that they ran the ball so heavily in the first half. You couldn't leave Tracy on the field for that many consecutive snaps with the ball in his hand that much. Let's see. Tracy was at 72%. Singletary was at 28%, so it was still almost 3-1. But look, they ran 16 of the first 18 plays. And every play except for one went for 4 more yards, except for a couple quarterback sneaks in there. I know some people have complained about the running rate in the first half. Well, why would you stop doing something if you're getting 6.5 to 7 yards a carry doing it?
Not to mention
you keep doing it.
You're also beating up the other team because when you pound them with the run like that and you're just getting yardage after yardage after yardage, you're wearing them out.
And they moved the ball in the Commanders. And
They
by the
certainly
way,
did.
if Hubbard protects for an extra second on that screen pass, there's a lot of green field over there for Singletary to catch that ball and run.
And he's got a couple blockers too.
Uh-huh. So that play would have worked if they would have protected just a second longer.
My stomach turned again this morning when I watched the game again.
I mean...
And by the way, can we just mention Daniel Jones?
Oh, yeah, I was going to get there. Go ahead. He played
I'm sorry.
Well. No, go ahead, please.
He really did play very well.
No, he played well.
2 touchdowns through the air.
And he should have had 3.
Should have had 3. Then had the rushing touchdown, which, by the way, he made Fowler pay dearly. And
Sanser still
was the other two Commanders on that play. He made them pay, and I'm sure they're looking at the film this morning saying, "Hey guys, how'd you let that quarterback run you over?"
Well, he does outweigh Samerstill probably by about 35 pounds, so I understand how he ran over Samerstill.
Okay, I'll give you that
Yes.
one. But Fowler can't be too happy about that. That was
correct,
payback
yes.
for the sack earlier in the game.
Yeah, that's right. So, again, just another game where, and again, I don't want to go. I'm thinking back. I feel like I really went after Newbin here. That was not my intention, going after the guy individually. But I think when we talked about this secondary heading into the year, we talked about how it was really young, and you might have some games where that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those games where I think the youth in the secondary showed up a little bit. From Banks to Newbin to Phillips, some young guys not making plays they could make.
Flat.
I think that's where it showed up. Flat on the pass interference. No reason to commit a pass interference penalty in that call. He actually has Noah Brown covered fairly well.
He does.
There's not a lot of room to get the ball, and he just pushes him out of bounds for absolutely no reason. Great call, Pearson. I forgot about that play.
We say all the time, rookies make rookie mistakes. The question is, will the other team be able to take advantage of them? And this was one of those games where the Giants paid for almost every single one of them.
Yeah. No,
that's it.
I know. And by the way, Brian Dable addressed the media at 12:45, I think. Brian Dable said Daniel Jones is going to start for the Giants at quarterback next week against the Panthers. So if anybody was thinking about that, there you have it. Oh, and I guess we should mention the 2-point conversions, because we got a lot of calls on that in the post game last night. I've gone through the analytics reasoning here, so I'm not going to repeat myself. If you guys want to ask again, if you weren't listening on a prior show, I'm happy to do it again for you. The bottom line to me is that you got to start converting some of these 2-point conversions. I mean, you're 0 of 6 this year.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start converting some of those if you're going to take that strategy. So that's how I'll look at that.
Yeah. The mathematics, if you strictly go by the numbers, there is justification for it. If you want to take other things into account, like the Giants' success rate in doing 2-point conversions, you're now adding other factors into the equation, and maybe you come up with a different answer. And that's perfectly acceptable too. But that's, that's where that thing stands. I will say one other thing. McAtamney, the Rutgers rookie kicker, just because he's a local, and a lot of people have, because he's a Rutgers guy, a lot of people have been rooting for him. I give him a lot of credit yesterday. Had 4 touchbacks on his 5 kickoffs. I thought he did a real nice job. Hit his extra point, hit a 31-yard field goal. He did a very solid job. He was not noticeable in the game at all. And that's all you want from a guy like that who comes in off the international, practice
Pathway
squad
program.
list, pathway
Yep.
program. Mm-hmm. The last thing we wanted to do here this morning was to talk about another missed field goal or a botched kick in some regard. And so McAtamney did exactly what he was brought in to do yesterday. So I just want to say congratulations to the Rutgers rookie. I give him a pat on the back.
201-939-4513. The Rapid Reaction's up on the Giants Huddle podcast. Check it out. That is Madeline and O'Hara, I believe, right, Pearson? It's up there. Go check it out. We're going to have some international flavor on the Giants Huddle podcast this week. Hoping to get another guest later in the week. I'll keep that a little bit of a surprise for you as Giants head out to Munich to take on the Panthers, who won last week. We'll be leaving on Thursday night. Paul will be staying behind. He'll have BBK for you on Friday. Also the Saturday version of BBK as well. And then he'll be with Casillas back here at the shop for the pre- and post-game on the radio and TV post-game as well on Sunday. So we'll have you covered backwards and forwards as we continue forward here on the Giants Huddle podcast. Giants.com, Giants app. Just search for Giants Huddle podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Brian in Pittsburgh will lead us off today. Hi, Brian.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're good.
Hey, I know you said you didn't want to talk about the officiating or anything anymore, but I did just want to, kind of push back a little bit when it comes to the fumble call, and more so what happened after the whistle. So I looked up the rules and everything this morning because that just struck me as so odd about the play was blown dead, clearly blown dead, and then afterwards there was a clear recovery by Bobby Wagner. But if you have the rules open, it's NFL Rule 7, Section 2, Paragraph O, Subparagraph 2. And I'll summarize it. I won't read it word for word right now, but it basically says if there's an erroneous whistle by the official and the ball is still in play, and if it's a loose ball resulting from a fumble, the team in last possession either gets the ball where the fumble happened, or they even have an opportunity to replay the play. So, there is a rule on the books that basically covers that exact situation that the refs just got wrong. And that, them getting that wrong, I feel also led to Slayton getting hurt later on in the game, where there's a similar situation where now the defense and everybody's playing well past the whistle, and Slayton kind of gets slammed into the turf.
I will have to look at that, Brian, because I've seen a million times where a running back is ruled down, the whistle is blown, there's a fumble, and there's a clear recovery, and the other team comes up with it, and they give the ball to the other team. I've seen that happen a dozen times.
Yeah, I'll be frank with you, caller. I have not, to go dig into that rule while we're on the air right now is going to be counterproductive because that's going to take some time.
Good call, though. Good. Excellent question.
I'll take your statement and check into it after.
Yeah, so will I.
Now, I will say this. I agree with you in that the timing of the whistle was very interesting. We just discussed this a few minutes ago.
Yeah, interesting, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right. It did not. It came at a very odd time. As I say, the ball is bouncing backwards. Singletary goes for it. Then you hear the whistle. And I would agree with this. My recollection from watching it again this morning, the TV copy is what has it. You're not going to get it on the All 22 or the All 50 or the High 50. Only the TV copy has it. You hear the whistle before Bobby Wagner recovers the ball. That part is true about the caller's statement, John.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't know is how does that impact the details of the rule. So I appreciate the heads up. I will go back and look for that rule later on this afternoon after we're done with the program. If that was in fact legislated incorrectly, that would be extremely disappointing for this factor. There is a connection of every game going back to the NFL offices, and there is a bunch of NFL people back there who are like supervisors of officials and of the rules. And they are supposed to, like they talk about with replay assist, these guys are supposed to be able to, on a moment's notice, if they see something that's egregiously wrong, they're supposed to be able to fix it. And you and I both know this.
Yeah, because everything is reviewable on a turnover play. So if that in fact is an egregious mistake, and that was allowed to occur and not fixed with the folks in New York, that would be extremely, extremely disappointing. Okay, so I found the offensive pass interference that got picked up finally.
What do you got?
I finally found it. This is the Cowboys play I was talking about, the Niners on primetime.
Yes.
Watch 18.
Okay. Oh!
2 flags came in on that play. They said the Cowboy cornerback pushed him into the slot guy.
Oh, no. No.
And there was no offensive pass interference.
Folks, just so you understand what John just showed me, he showed me a San Francisco 49er who basically was like a bowling ball and took
With
out
the elbow up
and took out double wood in one shot.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
So when I see that get picked up and that's not OPI, but the slate one is, that's when I start getting irritated.
Let's not make this about
let's not make it about the officials. You're right. Thank you. 201-939-4513. Len in Columbia, Maryland. Hi, Len.
Boy.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's going on?
Oh, wow. Well, here we are, mid-season, and another 2-6, 2-7 record.
Sadly, it feels familiar, Len.
Sure does, doesn't it? And 8 games, maybe the worst part of it is 8 games to go. I'm sitting here, I'm scratching on a pad. What do we look for in the next 8 weeks? Well, let me go to yesterday's game for a moment. The penalty on Slayton was ridiculous. That's just a bad call. Somebody said 9 out of 10 times they're not going to call it. Heck, 99 times out of 100. Don't they usually, when they huddle, a lot of times, and there's some disagreement between the officials, one person sees it one way, the other person sees it another, don't they turn to the person? I understood this to be true. They turn to the person who threw the flag and said, do you want to pick it up? And then it becomes up to that person to say, yeah, let's pick it up.
Len, I just referred to the replay once again. The official who was right there, it's right in front of him, as close as can be, immediately signals touchdown. I really don't want to even speak about it anymore.
Yeah, let me just say one thing in response, and then I'll move on, Paul. If he missed that call, Paul, he should be sent home immediately. He's standing over the play. I mean, you're absolutely right. You got to go with the guy who's standing over the play, not the guy who's 15 yards away. All right, let me move on. We didn't lose because of the officiating. A couple of comments. You guys, I think, referred to it. I want to go back to something. That defensive backfield's in the state of disarray. Newman is running around like a chicken with his head cut off. I don't know what's going on with Banks. We just don't have the talent at the other corner. Pinnock has regressed. He's starting to show the undrafted free agent nature of who he is.
What were your issues with Pinnock's play against the Commanders, out of curiosity?
I'm lost on that one, Len.
What, you thought it was good?
I didn't see him do anything egregiously poor during the course of the game, to be honest with you. I really didn't.
Did he? Wait. Did he knock any passes away?
Was he targeted?
Where did he make his tackles?
No, but was he targeted in coverage, Len? He's not targeted in coverage. He can't knock any passes away.
Where did he make his tackles? I remember one about 25 yards down the field. He always gets seized.
I think you got to be careful here when you hold the standard up to a safety like that. What you have to say is, what did he do anything noticeably egregious that made you scratch your head and say, oh, my goodness, what did he just do? I don't remember mentioning Pinnock once in that regard during the game yesterday. I think he's actually had a solid season.
Yeah, and honestly, when I rewatched the game, Len, I didn't notice anything.
No.
I got to be honest with you, I didn't.
And I will tell you this too: Tyler Nubin is a rookie.
Yeah.
He's had a dynamite rookie season, and up to this point, I mean, he's led this team in tackles how many weeks, John?
Mm-hmm.
Almost every week, and has played extremely well. And in this game, it looks like, again, we haven't talked to the coaches, but it looks like he may have made a couple very costly mental errors that rookies will sometimes make. Please don't go slamming this guy, for just a matter of bad timing.
Listen, I didn't say he was going to be a bad football player down the line. I just said that backfield's in a state of disarray. Look at the 2 plays by Banks.
That's fair. No arguments there.
And the play by Flott. Listen, we're just gonna have to disagree on Pinnock. I think he's regressed.
No, Glenn, I will say this one. Has Jason Pinnock made a bunch of game-changing plays this year where they wow you like, wow, he's really playing great? No, I have not seen a ton of those. He had a couple sacks against the Commanders in the first game, but I have not seen blown coverages from him. I've not seen missed tackles from him. I've not seen guys catching a lot of passes on him.
I would use the word he's been steady.
Yeah, he's been fine.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I was intrigued by the use of Simmons late first half when it looks like they had him on the field. He didn't get a lot of snaps, but they had him on the field spying Daniels toward the end of that first half. And I thought that worked out pretty good. I tell you, I don't know. I'd like to see Simmons on the field more. I know you're going to ask me where do you want him to play.
No, Len, I agree with you. I've always been a
Simmons
Simmons fan.
Listen, I don't care where he plays. Get him on the field. He's the tallest and fastest player we got on that defense.
And he has length.
He'll run it down.
I have a question for both of you. Len, hang with me.
Yeah.
Why don't you think they're playing Simmons? I have an answer. I'm curious to see what your answer is.
Simmons has 2 very good features, but you have to give up something to add those features. Yep. What he does have is blitz capability. He is not a straight pass rusher. He's a blitzer. He needs to have isolation or space. Yeah. And 2, he's got length to be able to match up against either tall slots or tight ends.
Yes.
But to do that, you're going to give up some run defense.
Well, and I'm going to throw
and you're going to tell me the rush defense isn't very good anyway.
I'm not even going there.
You're not. Okay.
Does this team blitz a lot?
Wait,
Len, hold on.
No, they do not.
Okay.
Does this team play a lot of man-to-man defense?
No, they do not.
Do you want Isaiah Simmons playing a lot of zone defense for you? In space and navigating space in the defensive backfield? I don't.
He has the athleticism and the length.
Yes, he does. But
there you go.
A lot of playing zone is between the ears. You know that.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody's got weaknesses, John. When Simmons is on the field, I think the other team reacts to it.
Oh, no, they don't. Teams aren't game planning against
No.
Isaiah.
He's not a headache player, Len. He's not a headache player. I happen to really like him, but he's not a headache player.
No, I didn't call him a headache player, John. Did Daniel's game change when Simmons was on the field, spying him?
I don't think the Giants negatively impacted Jaden Daniels much at all during the course of this entire game. To be told, I'm serious. They didn't bother him, Len.
I believe you.
They didn't bother him.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
I know you are.
I understand that. I understand that. Look, it's frustrating. It's easy to sit here. I mean, they lost the game. But it's easy to sit here and say, we changed this, we changed that, this happens, that happens, the fumble killed us, all those kinds of officiating, all those kinds of things. The bottom line is we lost another game, Gun. It's a tsunami of losses year after year. I can't pinpoint it. I've been watching them for a long time. I'm totally mystified.
I understand,
by how this thing has developed over a number of years. It can't be. It's like a bad dream, Paulie.
I know. I get it.
It doesn't. The play doesn't deserve this.
I know.
It's just heading in that direction. I'm just a frustrated fan.
I get it,
Hey,
Len.
thanks for taking my call. Let's go, Giants.
Be good.
And fortunately, we can't seem to wake up from that dream. It's the problem. 201-939-4513. Yeah, look, I have not seen Jason Pinnock to be a particular issue with this defense this year, to be honest with you. I think he's what they've asked him to do, I think he's done well.
Hey, you know what? I should have, before Len went away.
Or done fine.
As long as he's talking about dreams and things in your head. How about the fact that the Giants pulled out a seam pass to the tight end for Theo Johnson's touchdown?
Second straight week.
I'm telling you.
And they could have completed another one earlier in the game if Theo could have caught it off his back shoulder.
And, Phil Simms was in the building yesterday, and I'm telling you, that play has Simms to Bavaro written all over it. That was really nice to see.
Yeah, it was a good throw, good catch. Look, that's the one way you beat a cover two, right? You send your tight end right down the middle, split those safeties, and that's exactly what they did.
And Manhurts got his touchdown.
Yeah, Manhurts got the touchdown.
Good for him.
He had one taken
the week before.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it, 100%. Little play action on that first drive. Oh, Bob had a great line. I'm going to bring up the stats to make sure I had it right. Did you look at Daniel Jones's first half stat line?
Yes.
So the part that I thought was the funniest.
Was he 4 of 6 for 0 yards?
Yes, but did you see his quarterback rating?
I did not.
But he had one touchdown? 109.7.
Hence
why quarterback rating's not a very good stat.
I have never believed in that quarterback
That is
rating.
correct.
These callers call up sometimes with either that as one of their evidentiary reasons for a theory, or they'll say, "Oh, QBR by ESPN." Look, throw both of those stats out the window. They're garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
That reminds me of yesterday. Jalen Waddle had a touchdown and -4 yards for the Dolphins.
Did he really?
Because he ran backwards on the last play for like 40 yards or something.
That's pretty good.
My goodness.
And the reason he was 4 for 6 for 0 yards because Wando Robinson lost, 6 or 8 yards on that one screen pass they threw. So, and that kind of brought it back a little bit. But again, when you run the ball in the first half, 21 rushes, 142 yards in the first half of that game, just under 7 yards per carry.
John, Tracy had 50 yards rushing in the first quarter.
Yeah, I know. So did Jones. Jones had 50 yards in the first half, and Singletary had 31 rushing yards in the first half.
There was a lot to like in that game yesterday, offensively. A lot to like.
Let's go to Coach Marvin in Delaware. He's up next. Hi, Coach.
How you doing, John and Paul?
Could be better,
Hi.
Coach. What do you got?
I was just going to comment on the game a little bit of what Len was saying. I can see where he's going. There's some good personnel in that secondary, but they just didn't play well this weekend. I thought Banks, I don't know if he's degrading. He's not playing like I saw him last year, and I'm not sure what's actually going on with him. Again, he's a guy that plays the man more than the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That touchdown before halftime, he's playing the man and not playing the ball. I mean,
yeah, and Coach, I think
I
think maybe part of it this year, and we talked about this in the offseason, he's not in that press man alignment where you're turning your back to the quarterback and you're just playing the receiver as much. He's doing a lot more off coverage, start off the ball, watch the quarterback, watch the man.
Right.
And he did do that in college earlier in his collegiate career. His last year or two, he didn't do it quite as much. So my guess is that one of the reasons we've seen some of these issues is that he's not as good of a player right now playing in off as opposed to some of that press man stuff.
You know what, Coach? I know you've been around long enough to remember this. You remember what happened with Corey Webster?
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Corey Webster. By the way, another LSU guy, right? Comes in as a press man corner. Giants take him in the second round.
Well, Banks was a Maryland guy, though.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He,
You said another LSU guy. I'm like, who's the other LSU guy?
No, the other LSU guy's name is on the other
that's
side.
Fine. Okay.
My fault.
No, you're okay.
Well, point is, guy comes in as a press man corner, right? Second round pick. And he's doing all right with it, but then the Giants changed the scheme some. And they were asking him to play more off coverage and more zone stuff. And he got lost. It wasn't his forte. And I remember talking to him, and I said, Corey, one time we had a chat by his locker. And Corey would probably remember this even if he was here. Because I said, Corey, if they were going to use you this way, why'd they draft you? You're not a doubles hitter. You're a home run hitter, you know? And or you're not a bunter, you're a slugger. And he felt very much like, you know what? they weren't using his best skills to their
And I get
scheme.
that, but look, the Giants were very clear, and Joe Shane's been asked about this, and so was Brian Dable, that when they drafted Tay Banks, they didn't draft him just to be a press man corner. They said,
did not.
We think he can do everything. That's why
They
we
did.
drafted him. Because again,
They
he
did.
did play more zone coverage earlier in his college career. I believe Lovie Smith at some point was the defensive
Might
coordinator
have been.
there, if I'm not mistaken, early in his career. We know what a big zone defense guy he is. So
Right.
they do expect him to be able to play both. I just think he's, not doing quite as well.
And
early
that's
this year
true.
at it.
My only point is that Webster struggled.
Oh, and it's a fair point.
Then he
100%.
got it.
Yeah.
Then he got it. Then they started using him more as a press man. And look, he helped them win 2 Super Bowls. But what I'm saying is the adjustment for him was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult. And I wonder how many of these brain lock moments that we've seen out of Banks, especially this season, are because he's having tremendous difficulty adjusting to the different style.
But, Coach, and you can speak to this, you better figure it out. Because the
you have
NFL
to.
is a heavy zone league now, so if he wants to stick and be a good player, you better figure
You
it out.
have to. You're a number 1 pick. You have to do it.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Right on the money.
This week, it's one of the NFL's fiercest rivalries as the Cincinnati Bengals face the Baltimore Ravens.
Touchdown.
Coverage begins with TNF tonight. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. It's the Bengals and the Ravens Thursday only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
That's true. That you have to figure this out. You got to get yourself comfortable in doing it, and you got to work at that. I believe that Corey got benched at that one.
He
part of
did.
that year.
He
And
did.
Came back later, and he was. They didn't have no choice but to play him because I think they had an injury at that
That's
point.
correct.
And he started playing, but I think sometimes it's so much confidence. Sometimes if you're thinking too much, you're really not making plays. You start guessing at plays,
Especially at cornerback, Coach.
Yes. Huh?
Especially at cornerback.
Yeah. You can't be guessing. You got to understand the situation you're in. That's what situational football comes into play. Your brain already. My guys, I try to teach them. Okay, you got to understand the situation. If it's second, just real quick, if it's 2nd and 2, and they're on our 30 to 35 yard line, your brain. What I want them to think in that situation, this might be a spot where they're going to take a shot. They may go for the end zone. So in your head, you have to be prepared for this guy running a 9 route and trying to get a touchdown on that play because they're going to say, we're going to take 2 plays to get 1 yard or 2 yards. So you got to think. I always tell them, you got to think. They may go for a home run here. And then the second thing you got to think, what if they're not? If it's a run, what I'm doing. So you're always thinking of the situation. So when it happens, your brain automatically clicks because you already thought of it and you've seen it.
Yeah.
That's why you practice those things all the time, and you get your brain working. So sometimes if somebody catch an interception, the first thing they say to you, oh, I knew they were going to do that. I seen that already because they practiced it so much or they saw it on film. And so your brain is already processing it as the play is happening. So he's got to get himself in that mode. And if you see him play press coverage and he playing man-to-man, Banks is right there. He's right there. He don't turn around and see the ball, but he's right there. But when I seen him in this coverage this weekend, he just got beat cleanly. He had no clue what was going on, and that was kind of discouraging to see. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I thought Daniel the offense played pretty well. I wasn't really kind of sluggish, but I thought it was more, not so much the play calling, but when they call certain plays. I mean, they were running the ball down their throat on that first drive. And then they went to a screen where Daniel had to turn his back to, Humphrey, the guy that's the offensive tackle, the left tackle for the Giants. They turned his back to him, and he's not a great tackle. And so you're at risk with this guy coming up around the edge, and when he turns around, he's right there in his face. So I didn't like that call. I thought, you know what, just keep going straight ahead. Just don't try to trick him. Keep running the ball. You're going to throw it. Hey, just try to get it down the field. Just don't throw the screen. Not right now. You had them on the ropes, and I thought the play calling at times, we let them off the hook, and I think that was disappointing to see.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate the call, my friend. Always good to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. One other item that I did want to add. John, Hubbard came in here a couple of days before the Pittsburgh game. And I know you had mentioned earlier he played pretty well, especially in the run blocking game yesterday. I just want to give him one more moment of commentary, because that is not an easy position for him to come into. Even though he's a veteran, he came in there and he gets burned on the edge rush by Fowler on the strip sack.
Yeah, that was a bad play.
And, I mean, not just burned, he got fried on that play. It was rough.
He barely got his hand on him.
It was really rough.
Yep.
For him to show the guile and the veteran leadership that he had to show, to say, all right, guys, that's on me. I forget the play, and I'm going to move on from there. How many of you, when you saw that play, probably said, uh-oh, Daniel's in for a pounding today? And that didn't happen. The offensive line held up pretty good yesterday.
Well, they also, because the game never got out of hand, they were able to still do a lot of things to help protect the offensive line a little bit. But only 2 pressures for Hubbard the whole game. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. That's it.
I mean, and that's the way you have to bounce back as a vet. You can't let one bad play or one bad sack or pressure, multiply into more. And the Giants, oftentimes that happens with this team.
Yep, and it didn't this time.
No.
201-939, but of course, you waste your best offensive performance in about 3 weeks because you can't get a stop on defense. And that's kind of the story of the season. Something goes wrong somewhere that turns a potential win into a loss. Brian in Ohio is up next. Hello, Brian.
Hello, sir. How you guys doing?
We're okay, Brian. What do you got?
Well, I've been a fan since 1984, so I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One question, where's Elijah Chapman? I mean, I haven't seen him play since he made that big run, and I just want to know where's he at? I mean, I think he would have done very well against Barkley, stopping the run. But where's Elijah Chapman is my first question.
Well, he's in the rotation. Now, the Giants added a defensive tackle, Armon Watts, last week.
Who actually played really well last week in the game against the Steelers.
He did. And
he was a little quieter in this game. He did have a pressure, though.
I just mentioned the play to Eckler where he and Dexter Lawrence, John, they were within a fraction of making that hit. So Chapman's just one of the guys in the rotation. The guy who has lost snaps is Jordan Riley.
Yeah, he wasn't even active again this week. So this week, Chapman had a season low number of snaps, only 8. In every other game this year, he was anywhere between 12 and 24. So that's kind of been his snap count over the course.
He's at 30% of the snaps, which, that's what your rotational guy is going to get.
Yeah.
Okay?
Go ahead, Brian. What's number 2?
Yeah, number 2. This is a comment with a question, okay?
Sure.
The head coach is from an AFC team. Joe Shane is from an AFC team. The offensive coordinator is from an AFC team. The defensive coordinator is from an AFC team. And they're on an NFC team, our Giants. Do you think it's just a rude awakening thinking, okay, we're an AFC coaching staff going against NFC teams, and we're not doing so well? Because if we were going against the Super Bowl, an AFC team would do, I don't know, But I'm thinking an NFL coach from the Bills and Joe Shane from the Bills and the defensive coordinator from the Titans and the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs being a quarterback. And they're going...
Kafka did play for the Eagles, though, and they were in the NFC East, right?
I mean, look, the AFC has won the large majority of the Super Bowls over the past, 20 years since Tom Brady took over in New England. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently different about the 2 conferences at this point.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brian.
I think it's a very interesting comment, but I don't really think there's any weight to it.
No, I don't either. Yeah, so I'll even go through the list for you. Starting in 2004, AFC, 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 NFC, AFC, NFC, 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 AFC, NFC, AFC, 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 NFC, AFC, AFC, NFC, NFC, AFC, AFC. So a lot more AFC, NFC. I'm just going to confuse people with all those AFCs, NFCs. I know, Pearson, shut up. But look, there isn't anything like, these AFC teams can't hang with the NFC. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything to that.
No, It's, again, interesting thought for a conversation, but I don't think it has any weight. Anyway.
So Germany. Hello?
Yeah, well, you guys are leaving on Thursday after practice.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Thursday evening.
Right. So, I think maybe one of the best things that could happen is for everybody to get out of here and hopefully go across the Atlantic Ocean where there won't be any headlines and there won't be any things to cause any more negativity. And maybe the guys will go out there and they'll just play great football, hopefully.
Yeah, and they play the Panthers, who, lo and behold, won this week. In fact, they got Dennis Allen fired by beating the New Orleans Saints.
I saw that this morning. Yeah, they pulled the plug on him. Look, I haven't seen the game, haven't looked at any of the stats even. I don't know, did you see the stats on the game?
Chuba Hubbard had a good game. Chuba Hubbard, whatever, however you pronounce that.
Chuba.
It's been back and forth like 6 times. I don't know if they finally
it's Chuba now.
decided on.
But I didn't even see the stats. I will at some point in the next 24 hours look at their game. But
Bryce Young was okay. He threw for like 200 yards, but it was certainly better than what he was before.
Hey, look.
Play well.
Just
don't mess around.
I'm going to tell you what I said on the pregame radio show yesterday. And it's my mantra until the Giants do it. Play a clean game. Please, just play a clean game. Only 2 drops yesterday. That's pretty clean.
It's okay.
Oh, it's pretty clean.
They were averaging 3 over the course of most of the year. So
I got him at 27 now. I got him at 27 on
the
season.
3 game. That's what I'm saying. That's literally 3
So
game.
2 is less than 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Pythagoras.
All right. What did you have? Well, I don't. You know what? Let me not even look at the penalties because the offensive PI was so devastating that I don't even want to look at the number.
I looked at it last night.
Was it 4?
I think it was 4 for 60 or something like that.
But of course, the offensive PI was just the killer. That'd have been worth 10 penalties, really.
It was 4 for 51.
So clean is reduce your drops, reduce your penalties, you reduce your turnovers.
And now you got to start reducing big plays on defense. There's been way too many chunk plays the last couple of weeks. That's something that has to get better. Whether the Eagles, the Steelers, and now this past game against the Commanders, way too many chunk plays. And the Giants defense had actually been really good at preventing those.
Yes.
The first 5 or 6 games of the year. Last 3 weeks ago, that's been a huge, 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 huge problem. Got to get that cleaned up.
I'll give you one other number that's got to be changed. Not to come down, got to go up. Got to get some picks, man.
Just takeaways, man. You have to.
You know what they have? 6 fumble recoveries, right? Which is actually one of it's one of the higher numbers in the league. The 6 fumble recoveries isn't bad, but 1 interception, Muasau, off a deflection by Dexter Lawrence in the first game.
So only one other team has just 1 interception this year, and that is the Cleveland Browns with 1.
Now you would think, with less man coverage, right? And all this pressure on quarterbacks, there'd be some errant throws, and the Giants could get some more takeaways. Imagine how much better they would be in terms of positioning to overcome some of the stuff that we've been talking about for the last month. Had they just gotten a couple of takeaways?
Yeah, Giants tied for 24th in takeaways.
Fumble recovery's not bad, though, right? 6.
6, yeah.
That's still pretty good.
And in terms of turnover differential, they're at -4. And folks, remember, I brought this up in the offseason. And
you can't count on them.
You didn't. We had a good conversation about it. Giants led the league in takeaways last year.
Right, and you can't count on those.
They were like +17, I think it did of the year, or some number. But I'm going to look it up and make sure I have the number right so I don't over-index it. +12 with 31 takeaways last year.
Man,
31.
That's a lot of takeaways.
And they still only won the amount of games that they won.
I know.
So if they had half of those this year, at the halfway mark, you'd have 8 more takeaways. What would that do? 1 more takeaway game, you probably win 3 more games. No, you're right. And John Casillas, to his credit, always brings that up in the postgame show. The defense has got to make some plays too here. Like, get your hands on the football a little bit.
Goes back to, what is the statement? Right? Make plays above the X's and the O's. How many times do the Giants do that each and every week, either offensively or defensively or even on special teams?
Not enough. John in Tennessee, he's up next. Hi, John. How are you?
Good, John and Paul. I'm a first-time caller.
Thank you.
And And I listen to a lot of the shows.
Thank you.
And the point that I want to make here today, watching the Giants play, especially these last couple of weeks, I don't necessarily think we have a real dearth of talent. I mean, I think talent-wise, we're close.
Well, John, we said this
Very
last
close.
week. Both of us think there's more talent on this team than was on the 2022 team that won a playoff game.
Top to bottom.
Absolutely. I really believe that the problem with this team is winning is an attitude. And I don't think this team has a winning attitude. I think when the chips are down and a play needs to be made, the Giants over and over again fail to make the play that makes this team win. And as much as I hate to say it, because I'm over this coaching changes, and I think it comes from the leadership.
Yeah, but John, the problem, though, is that in Dable's first year in 2022, it was the exact opposite.
I get it, and I've pondered that many times too. I don't really understand why it's not that way. But being 0-5 at home, losing week after week in so many different ways, failing to make the play that's going to change things. I mean, I agree with everything you guys said, even about the officials and the calls, and it really goes both ways. And you really could never rely on getting the call that's going to make you win the game. I watch these teams like the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, and it seems, and even the Rams yesterday, it seems like when the chips are down, they find a way to win, and the Giants always seem to find a way to lose.
Caller, I've been creating a term unclutch this year for the Giants, because as clutch as they were in 2022, and yes, the ball bounced their way a lot. They had a lot of breaks go their way, but they also made a lot of plays in just the right moments. This year, that's gone in reverse. It truly has. And so I've basically said it's an unclutch epidemic across the whole roster. I can't remember really, John, how many Giants players on either side of the ball have made clutch plays this year.
I have to go back to the 2 wins and look at it. I'm sure there were some plays in that Browns game and some plays in that Seahawks game, but there haven't been enough throughout the other ones.
Pretty hard to find.
Yeah, no argument.
And that's certainly.
Is he gone, Pearson? John's gone?
Okay. That's certainly one of the tentacles that has brought this season down into the depths of the ocean.
John, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a first-time caller, by the way. We appreciate it. Love to hear from new fans out there. And look, we understand, guys. No one's more frustrated than we are, having the, we want to have a happy Victory Monday. We want to go in there and get the big plate of cookies that are in the cafeteria every Monday, the Victory cookies. We'd love to have the Victory cookies.
Yes. And trust me, I don't like to be up at 4:30 in the morning looking at this again.
No. I mean, I'd much rather, I sit here. I mean, let me explain to you guys what my Monday morning looks like. I come in, print out the full play-by-play because by the morning they have the snap counts up.
Yes.
Print it out, sit down, usually around halfway, I start watching the game tape. About halfway through, Bob Papa comes in here. He does a serious show every Monday morning from where we're sitting right here. This is where he does a serious show at 10 a.m. on Monday. I watch the tape. He does a show. I bother him during the breaks to look at things that, unfortunately, this year usually really annoy me. And I usually finish the tape around noon, 12:15. I usually cut it pretty close because there's a lot to go through. And we watch the show. I would love to be able to sit here and be all happy, joy, and great on a Monday talking about all these great plays they made and how awesome Dexter Lawrence is and how he should be the defensive player of the year and, all these things. But this team just has not been able to figure out ways to win some of these closer one-score games this year when, again, you go back to 2022, they were the masters of the one-score game. Aside from that Vikings and the Eagles game, the Giants have had an opportunity or chance to win every single game this year. If they made a couple plays here or there. Now, you can't say, oh, well, then they should only have 2 losses. That's not how it works. Even if they would have won just half of them, they'd be closer to 500. We'd be having a different conversation. So that's just where we're at. And again, look, it could all turn around with 1 win, right? He says the team doesn't have a winning attitude. Well, can you manufacture a winning attitude, or do you have to build upon a win and then carry that? You know what I mean? Can you manufacture that? Do you have to build off of actually seeing your guys do it first? Because look, when we do anything in life, right, you can say, all right, I'm confident. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to be successful at it. But if you've never really done it before and you haven't been successful at it, it's kind of hard to fool yourself into being confident about doing something. And this team, they've had a couple of them, sure, but clearly it's not enough to give themselves that whatever you need, that extra oomph to get them over the edge and make those plays that they need to make. So I don't have a good answer for you. That's just kind of where we're at.
I'll say this. On your point, I'm disappointed that the clutch play by Isaiah Simmons on the blocked field goal in Seattle did not give these guys enough of a winning flavor.
Yeah, that's fair
that
point.
They could digest that and turn that into some type of streak. Extremely disappointed that did not happen. Also, in terms of a clutch play, hey, Bobby Okereke recovering that fumble against Pittsburgh.
Well, look,
that was a clutch play, and they didn't build anything off of that either.
We went through that 4-game stretch where Daniel Jones was playing probably the best football of his career, comes home, has 2 home games against the Bengals and the Eagles, and it's like those 4 games never happened. Like they're not able to carry their good plays in areas of the game from week to week.
Yeah.
And instead, another unit might get better, but then another unit falls off. One player plays well, then the other player falls back. Like they cannot. It's like the opposite of complementary football, where they're not helping each other. It's like one unit sabotages the other instead of one unit helping the other, and it's happening again and again and again, and it's very frustrating.
Earlier this season, I used another term, uncomplimentary football, and that's again what the Giants have done. And we haven't probably done this enough, but Daniel Jones played a really good game yesterday, and I'm sorry for you folks who don't particularly care for him. I'm saying it one more time. Daniel Jones played a really good game yesterday. He played winning football. And it just did not happen for this team.
Yeah, no, I know. It is what it is. So I'm looking for, I looked up antonym for complimentary for you. So the 2 that came up, we have derogatory.
Well, that would be a different
definition of complimentary, right?
Yeah, that's a different swap out.
And yeah, so the only 2 opposites they have here on my quick Google search is derogatory and scathing. So I don't have a good antonym for the other version.
We could create our own words. You know, like when I said Belichickian after Belichick all those years, I like to create my own words. It's fun.
I don't like to create words. I would like to use an actual word.
I know, but when you create your own vocabulary, it adds character.
Oh, okay. How about unmannerly? Do you like that? No?
I'm sticking with uncomplimentary football.
Censoring? Disparaging? Is that a complimentary football? Disparaging
no,
football?
No, again, that's
Do you like that?
That's
Pearson, you got one for me? What do you got?
How are you spelling complimentary? Because it's EMENTARY.
Did he spell it wrong?
Oh, I put the I.
Oh, you spelled it wrong. Well,
that's what I did.
So that's why the antonyms are coming up with the other meaning.
Belittling, deprecating.
Can I stick with uncomplimentary, please, Pearson?
No, you can't.
Come on.
No, we're going to find the word.
Well, I'm staying with it on the shows I'm doing. I'm sticking with it. Yeah. Just like fumbleitis is not a real word either, but I'm sticking with that one too.
All right, Paul, good stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right. Tomorrow, who am I? I think I'm talking with SciTac tomorrow, sure. You're going to have Paul on, again, Friday's BBK. He'll be on Saturday's BBK. It'll be Madeline and Cross on Wednesday, SciTac and I on Thursday. And then I am off to Munich. And I will talk to you from Munich for the pregame show on Sunday. Remember, it's bright and early. It's 9:30 kick, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
In the game. So, bright and early, folks.
Pearson, you ready?
Pearson will be here with Dottino and Casillas, 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. Do me a favor, bring something in for him, like a bagel maybe or something.
I'll take
as a
care
thank
of him.
you.
I'll take care of him.
Take care of Pearson.
I will take care of him.
I want something nice and Italian from your town for him, okay?
Oh, you know what? The Italian pastry shop is one town away from me. I might be able to do that.
Yeah, bring something nice and Italian in for Pearson.
Let me see what
right?
I can do.
We'll talk to you then, folks. Big Blue Kickoff Live tomorrow, 12:30. Check it out. We'll see you then.
I'm Peter Schrager, host of Good Morning Football on the NFL Network and the Season with Peter Schrager podcast. Whether you're ordering wings for the game or you're whipping up a 7-layer dip or you're ordering a pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food, no matter what you're craving. From 2-for-1 pizzas to buy one, get one wings to whatever it is you want, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week all season long. Uber Eats is the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now for game day. Terms and conditions apply, and see the app for details.
Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino with no download required. You can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms